Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at BTC. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so we pretty much have the same ideas as we were discussing in the last video. We do still have the potential of that super bullish option where we have a wave 2 here, possibly looking for a wave 3 up towards this 41k. Now the problem that I have with this is that we would have come down very shallow here within this as a wave 2. It is technically possible. The problem lies that after this we actually start to look for diagonals to continue this move. So this is already less reliable. So this is why this is a lower degree of confidence count, but effectively still is open. If we do see price move up towards this 32,852, then potentially we could be looking for this as a third wave. Now, if we just go into the internals, this once again, we have this potential of this as a 1 and a 2 here. Now, the key thing here is that we came down to this 854. We don't really want to lose this point again. As soon as we lose this low, it becomes very unlikely that this is the case, and we would be looking for that possibility of the corrective structures. Now, off of this move here, what we'd be looking for would be this 33,400 for confirmation of our bullish count. Now, if we're going to go over the internals of this on the lower degree here, what I'd then be looking for if we're looking for this bullish count is effectively that we would have been setting up some 1s and 2s here, where this becomes 1, 2, this becomes 1, 2 here, and then possibly this is another 1, 2. Now the key thing is here, what we'd be looking for confirmation would be a third wave move towards this 30,736. So we'd want to see this develop as a 5-wave structure up into this point. Then we want to get a 3-wave move down and another 5-wave move up into this zone here of this 30,881 to this 30,791. Now the key thing here is the 1.618 of the white count would actually be up here at this 30,866. So we'd want to hit this for more clarity here. What we then want to see after this yellow count is completed is an additional 4th and a 5th wave to the upside. This would then give us the potential that after this completes, what we'd be looking for is a 3-wave move down, looking to maintain this low, particularly this 29,900, and then looking for that continuation to the upside. So that's what we'd want to see here if we're looking to break to the upside. Now there is always potential that there could be extension within this. You could get this as a 1, 2, another 1, 2 here, possibly another 1, 2 here, something like this. And then we just directly push up and we don't get something like this as a bigger 1, 2 before we look to go. Now, this is not my primary count here, so I'm going to just be on the lookout for this. But unless we start hitting some of these higher targets here, it becomes more likely that we are still within that corrective count. Now, the way that I would be looking at this corrective count is, you know, we've discussed many different ways that this can be, and it is complicated where we are at the moment, because what happens with complex corrections is, you know, it's very dangerous to say things are completed, because what we can do is just sweep highs again, then come back down and sweep lows. So this is the one way that we're looking at this. Pretty much all of the different variations, if we're looking at this corrective structure, looking for a push to the downside here in this C wave or a Y wave. So effectively what we're looking for is between this 29,399 and this 28,695 as a possible target area for this as a C wave if we get 5 waves to the downside. Now the problem is that if we're going to get 5 waves to the downside here, then unless we come up very high or we form something like a diagonal pattern, it becomes very unlikely that we'll actually complete in this level. So this is why I do have this 2.618 sitting down here towards this 26,931. If we do see a bigger move to the downside here, where we get something like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then we do move down towards the bottom of this channel again, then possibly we could actually see this develop as this bigger C wave. Now all these corrective counts are effectively looking for us to move back into the support zone here, lower down between this 28,693 and this 26,084. For as long as we hold above this 24,800, we do have the potential for this bullish count to continue to extend. If we do start to lose that level, then effectively we would have to be looking at this possibly as a completed move to the upside and looking for a much bigger correction here. So need to be on the lookout for this. We're going to keep tracking this 5-wave structure to the downside to see how that actually plays out. Now, if we are looking at this in the shorter term here, we're going to come in and have a look at this move down. So I was initially looking at this move as a 5-wave structure where we were saying that this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're looking for this as a 5th wave. Now, the problem that I have with this is this 4th wave has gotten far too large now, And effectively what it could still be is something like a triangle developing here, which would explain why it's becoming so disproportionate to this wave 2. But it is really getting out of hand now. We've come past the four times the length of this wave 2 here. So we could also argue something like this, where this becomes 1, 2, 3, this becomes 4 and 5, which is still viable. So this is why I'm still keeping an eye on this target area here of this 30,635 to this 30,238. At the moment, however, we just have 3 waves to the downside. So this is why I'm saying, we need to just be on the lookout that if we do look to move up past this 31,075, effectively we would invalidate this idea of having an additional 5th wave down. Now, what I'm still being cautious of is that if we do move back to the upside here, we could still look to find rejection between this 30,840 to this 31,388. The key thing here is, though, is this would then be looking for something like this as a bigger ABC pattern to the downside. If we do get this additional 5th wave here, what we would then be looking for is how we react after that point. Like I said in the previous video, effectively, if we get 3 waves up, this would mean we have continuation down. If we get a 5 wave move to the upside, this could then be changing into something else, where either this is actually our low point and we're looking to progress as a 3rd wave, or we have a bigger corrective structure, which we're going to go over in a second. Effectively, what I want to see here is if we're looking for continuation down, rejection somewhere below this 31,338. If we start to move above that, then effectively it becomes less likely we're going to see that continuation down. Now, the alternative way we could also argue is same idea with this yellow count here. The problem is we've gotten very large. Like I said, that this is starting to become very disproportionate, which is making it more likely that this is actually just an A wave, this is a B, and then we're going to look for a C wave down. So this is why I'm saying we need to just be on the lookout for this. It could be still something like a triangle here if this is a B wave, in which case, we will get a push down, but it's not going to be in a 5 wave structure here. We'll have to see how this actually plays out here, because this move in the middle is not really fitting the narrative of this as a 5 wave structure. It's still within the rejection area, but potentially, we could see this as a B wave instead. Now, if we're looking at this as a B wave, what we could get is something more along these lines here, where this move is an A wave to the downside. We're looking for this B wave, typical rejection between this 30,613 and this 31,386. If we just see 3 waves to the upside here, potentially what this could mean is that we get something like this, where we form some kind of a corrective structure up here, get a rejection, and then see this continuation back to the downside, 1-to-1 being down here towards this 28,862. Now, if I overlay that other idea that we were talking about previously, where we were saying that we could see a push down here one more time in either a C wave or a 3 wave move as a W, X, and a Y. This would bring us right into this 29,393 to this 28,695. As well as that, if I overlay the idea of this as a bigger move to the downside, we can see that this 0.382 is also sitting here towards this 28,693. So going to be keeping an eye on this level if we do look to push down in this way. Now, the key thing that we need to also just be aware of here is, everyone's looking for this to go up or down. It's possible this could actually just remain range bound here for a much longer period of time. Now, this is not something that I'm using as my primary account, but it is something that I'm just on the lookout for here, is that possibly what we could have is a bigger range forming here, where we form this as either a bigger flat correction, where we say that this is actually our A wave here, and we're still within this B wave, which this B wave could be looking to form as something like a flat, in which case what we'd be looking for, what we could actually be looking for here is something like this as an A, B, and a C to the downside. Same idea with this zigzag over here, that we could get this as a ABC. This would align very much so with a typical B wave rejection of a flat. So going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do look to move down here, form this as A, B, C, possibly come down here, sweep these lows, move into some of these lower highs here, and then look for a 5 wave move to the upside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could align with something like this, where we actually have this as an A, we're still within a B wave, and we're still going to see this C wave actually look to play out at a later date. So now this would just mean that you know, this range is going to extend out here a little bit, where we could see something like this as this A, B, we come back up here, sweep these highs, then we still get another move to the downside, sweep the lows, and then look for that possibility of that continuation to the upside. So this is just a secondary count that I'm keeping an eye on here. You know, it is possible we could see something like this. Now, it is also possible that this B wave could be in play from exactly where we are now. Now, it would be a little bit of a strange way of counting this move, where what we would effectively be saying is that, you know, we've come down towards this 854 already. So if we are looking at this as a B wave internally, what we could get is either, if we get this as, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we get this additional fifth wave down, we could potentially look to push towards this 2.618 here. Or alternatively, if we do maintain this low, what we could start to see is that this could be A, this could be B, and then we see 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. And this could look to push us up into this higher range again, looking for this as a possible B wave rejection higher up here. So going to be on the lookout for this as well. If we do continue to hold these lows here, we can have either that bullish count where we just look to directly push up in that bigger third wave. But if we just get a 5-wave move up here, going to be very cautious, because this could then just look to reject back down in a C wave and then possibly look to sweep these lows at a later date here. So this is why I'm just being a bit cautious with the structure here. We do have a lot of different options. It is possible that we can count this in this way as a flat completed. Now, it would be a bit unorthodox. You would have to say this would be A, B, C, D, E as a triangle, and then a 5-wave move. So effectively having this as a bigger flat with a triangle as your B wave. So that would mean that we actually broke down from this point with the 5-wave move, which would make a lot of sense, to be honest with you, because then we have a completed structure here. The reason why this is attractive to me is because we did actually move down towards this 1618 as a move in relation to this A wave here. So this would be quite a common zone for a C wave as a flat correction. So just going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do continue to hold these lows, then we do have that bullish potential of a 5-wave structure to the upside. And then depending on how high this goes and what happens next, if we get 5 waves up, 3 waves down, we can potentially look for continuation. We get 5 waves up and then we get 5 waves down. Effectively, that would align with this bigger corrective structure. So I'm going to give it a bit of space here and see exactly what the market shows us this week. Having a look at the daily CPR, what we can see is we're currently above these central lines here. And what we do have as upside targets for today is this 30,430. We have this 30,619, 30,802, and this 31K region. So those are our upside targets for today, as long as we continue to hold these central CPR lines. If we start to break down, we have this 30,048, 29,865, 29,666, and this 29,490 levels to the downside. Now, these would align with that idea of that fifth wave to the downside here, particularly these lower ones. So going to be keeping an eye on this if we do start to see price breakdown in a 5-wave structure. Alternatively, if we are not completed this 4th wave and we do see another push to the upside here, then potentially what we could see is that possibility of coming back up into one of these, the S2 or the S1 line here, which, like I said, is sitting at this 30,422 to this 30,617. As well as that, our S4 line is sitting quite nicely here within this golden pocket, so going to be keeping an eye on that if we do move up into these zones. Now, switching this over to the weekly, because we got a new set of weekly CPRs printed as of today. Now, we are currently below these weekly CPR lines, which are sitting here between this 30,436 and this 30,653 level. So these are aligning with this resistance box that we've got here. Higher up, we do have this 30,853. What I'm going to be looking out for is during the course of this week, if we do manage to get back above these levels, then possibly we could look to retest this R1 line, this S1 line here at this 31,394. We have S2 at this 32,533 and this 33,297 as possible upside targets for this week. Now, as well as that, what we do have here to the downside, if we fail to actually break back above these, is the possibility of moving down towards this 29,483. We have this 28,739. And we have this lower level here of this 27,580. So this would align with coming back into that 0.382 and possibly that idea of this move actually developing rather as a zigzag to the downside, where we could look to move down into some of these zones. So going to be keeping an eye on that as the week goes on. Now this would also align with coming back into these monthly central CPR line here at this 28,900. So this is going to be quite an interesting zone if we do move down into that level. Going to be keeping an eye on that zone as a possible reversal point. Now if we do continue to hold this higher line here at this 29,676, we have potential to move up and test this 32,987, this 35,538, and this higher level here of this 39,600 as potential targets to the upside. If we start to lose these levels, then we do have downside targets aligning quite nicely with the bottom of this channel at this 26,632. We have this 25,225 and this 19,744 as possible downside targets for this month. We don't have to always reach these targets. Sometimes we can just consolidate between these levels, but they are potential pivot points within the market. So going to be keeping an eye on them if we do start to move down to some of them and see how they interact with these levels. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you will find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.